Emily appeared confused when I asked her about the opposing party's attitude during the business discussion. In a professional environment? Henry, is this your first time? She inquired. You have to brush off this kind of joke when it's for a woman. I wanted to scratch my head at the excuse-like tone she used. Oh, I apologize. I was joking. I said, it was a joke. Emily gave my words a perplexed glance. A joke about what? I told her the truth after noticing her bewilderment. I'm not a newbie assigned to sales. My disclosure caused Emily's eyes to widen. Henry is my name. My age is 42. Right now, a young, pretty woman is standing in front of me. She is 29 years old and goes by Emily. Her almond-shaped, double-lidded eyes are especially captivating, and her face is petite yet has distinguishing features. She has a fantastic physique and a slim body. I kept my eyes on her face and smiled gently, trying not to look too much. The thing is, while you were on leave, Henry from the regional branch was assigned to the main office's sales department, remarked Chris, our sales manager. He went on to say, and I'd like you to take him along on your sales calls, to Emily. Emily scowled. Come with me, will you? Since I've just been here a year, I believe it would be more advantageous to watch the senior staff. Chris interrupted her before she could say anything more. He's watched a number of salespeople over the last 3 days. Yes, Henry. When asked, I smiled and nodded, saying, yes, I have learned a lot. Everyone agreed that you are great, so I would love to go with you. I bowed, trying to sound as excited as I could. Emily appeared to be humbled. Oh, great is exaggerated. Stop that, please. Her agitated response was endearing as well. You indicated that driving in the area you're visiting today is challenging due to the large number of one-way streets, correct? Could you enlist him, even if only as a driver? Chris inquired. She couldn't possibly turn down Chris' plea. Understood, she grudgingly responded. She still seemed a little reluctant, for some reason. As she apologized for taking 3 days off at the start of the new fiscal year, she lowered her long eyelashes. Chris gave a nice smile. As an employee, you have the right to take paid leave. Don't be afraid to take it if you're feeling ill, but don't take too much. His words of kindness appeared to bring relief to her face. As a result, I was permitted to go on sales calls with Emily, the bright young star. I settled into the driver's seat of the business vehicle and shifted seats. After a brief moment of hesitation, she appeared relieved and climbed into the back seat as I set my bag on the passenger seat. I struck up a casual conversation as I started the car slowly. Although I was pleased to be promoted to the main office, I never imagined that, at my age, I would be moved to a totally different department. I'm sure you were taken aback. A newbie is an old person like me. Emily's eyes widened when I gave her a playful look in the rearview mirror. A completely different department. I gave a nod. I worked in the branch office's accounting department. I was genuinely surprised to go from a boring accounting position to our company's glitzy sales division. Her face brightened when I chuckled. Bookkeeping. You worked in accounting, right? Actually, my career goal was to work in accounting. Her words made me raise my eyebrows. Really? And yet you were assigned to sales. You must have been outstanding during training. That's amazing. When I said that, she looked down. I'm not that great, she replied, sounding downcast. I smiled to encourage her. Sales is the star department of our company. Being selected for it is impressive. Have confidence in yourself. However, Emily's expression didn't brighten. Just then, we entered a narrow alley. From here, the road is filled with complex one-way streets, I noted, focusing on driving. Our conversation came to a halt, and during the pause, Emily took a mask out of her bag and quietly put it on. Oh, do we need masks? I should have one. Thinking it might be a courtesy requirement, I mentally checked my belongings, but I was sure I had one. However, Emily shook her head. I was off sick until yesterday. I might pass it on to the client. Her voice was clear, without any nasal sound or phlegm. Feeling a bit puzzled, I parked the car in the designated lot and turned off the engine. We both got out of the car and walked towards the client's company. After about a minute, a large office building came into view. Emily, walking a bit ahead, suddenly stopped. Wondering what was wrong, I was about to ask, but she had a tense expression and didn't look like she wanted to be spoken to. Remaining silent, she took a deep breath and said, "Let's go," entering the building with determination. After checking in at reception and waiting for a while, a tall, slender man appeared from the elevator. "Emily, long time no see," he called out, raising his hand. He seemed a bit frivolous, but was handsome. Emily bowed deeply. "I apologize for not being able to visit the other day." The man waved his hand dismissively. "No worries. More importantly, are you okay? If I had your personal contact info, I could have visited you." I frowned slightly. "Oh no, a visit is too much. I'm sorry for causing a delay in the delivery schedule," Emily continued, still bowing. "It's fine. Your boss suggested sending someone else, but I insisted on you. Let's go to the meeting room I've reserved." Only then did the man acknowledge my presence. "Oh, is this person with you?" Emily nodded. "This is Henry, who recently transferred. He's accompanying me as a driver today. Henry, this is Alex." I bowed deeply and introduced myself. "I'm Henry. Nice to meet you." When I looked up, Alex looked utterly indifferent. "Yeah, nice to meet you." Then he added, "I wanted it to be just the two of us," Emily, in a light-hearted tone, forcing a strange smile. Their exchange left a black cloud of frustration hanging over me, and I sighed lightly. We entered the conference room, but Alex continued with small talk. "Are you fully recovered? How about we celebrate your recovery? I'd love to have you treat me sometime, just the two of us. I know a great French restaurant." Is this what sales conversations are like? Having worked in accounting for so long, I found it hard to grasp this kind of small talk. "No, as you can see, I still need to wear a mask," Emily gently declined. Alex seemed dissatisfied. "Come on, you don't need the mask. Take it off." Emily's eyes clouded over. "I feel bad if I infected you." Alex responded with a smile. "It's okay. I never catch colds. Not seeing your cute face is what makes me feel unwell." He seemed to think he was joking, but Emily clearly wasn't amused. I reached for the bag beside her. "You've prepared the materials, right? Shall I hand them out?" Emily flinched a little, but then raised her voice slightly. "Oh yes, please do." I nodded with a smile, handed the materials to Alex, and placed some in front of Emily as well. After bowing, she looked directly at Alex. "Now let me present next month's delivery schedule and introduce our new products. Thank you for your time." Shifting from small talk to a serious tone, Emily's professionalism was evident. Though Alex seemed somewhat displeased, he nodded. Her handling of the meeting was impeccable. Regarding next month's deliveries, it seemed like a routine discussion. Her presentation was smooth and flawless. Notably, her introduction of new products was outstanding. She clearly outlined the benefits compared to current products and emphasized the profit margin despite the higher prices. Any questions were answered promptly without even looking at the documents. It was proof she had thoroughly studied the materials. After completing her explanation, Alex seemed inclined to consider her proposals positively, signaling the end of the meeting. But then, "Emily, you know you lack assertiveness." Alex's comment made the room freeze slightly. I think you should use the assets you have. If you did, you'd have me wrapped around your finger." Unable to bear his lecherous gaze, I stepped in. "What assets are you referring to?" My blunt question made Alex frown. "What?" Feigning ignorance, I smiled. If there are such assets, I'd love to know. Alex's face darkened with annoyance. Never mind. It's not important. As his mood soured, I stood up abruptly. My apologies. Shall we go, Emily? We have a tight schedule ahead. Right. Emily, startled by my abruptness, stood up as well, her eyes wide. Oh yes, she stammered. I bowed deeply to Alex and said loudly, "Thank you very much for today. It was very educational," and turned to leave. Oh, well, excuse us. Emily hurriedly followed me out of the conference room. Oh, wait. Hold on. I thought I heard Alex's confused voice, but we kept walking, bowing to the receptionist and briskly heading to the parking lot. Once in the car and out of the maze of one-way streets, I let out a big sigh. Wow, what was that all about? Emily knitted her eyebrows in confusion at my question. What do you mean? I mean Alex's attitude. It looked like harassment to me. Emily's eyes widened for a moment, then she quickly looked down. In that brief moment, I thought I saw her eyes glisten. Oh, that's an exaggeration. That's normal. I opened my eyes wide in disbelief. Normal? What's normal about that? Asking for a private dinner, wanting to visit you when you're sick, and staring at you. That's not normal. She remained looking down. Not normal. Her shoulders were trembling slightly. That kind of conversation doesn't belong in a business setting. When I said this firmly, Emily faced forward. In a business setting, Henry, this is your first time in sales, right? We women have to brush off this kind of joke. Her excuse-like tone made me want to scratch my head. Oh, sorry. I was just kidding. Emily looked puzzled at my words. Kidding about what? Seeing her confusion, I revealed the truth. I'm not a newbie assigned to sales. I'm sorry for deceiving you. Chris asked me to. I then explained to her how Chris had asked me for a favor 3 days ago. 3 days ago, I started my new role at the main office, making rounds to greet each department. In the sales department, I reunited with a familiar face. Henry. Long time no see. It's been 12 years. Welcomed by a beaming Chris, I felt my eyes water as I bowed deeply. Chris, it's an honor to see you. I heard you became the sales department manager. That's impressive. Chris laughed and patted my back. What are you saying? You're younger than me, and you came back as the accounting manager. I scratched my head at his words. Accounting isn't popular. They needed someone for the young leadership policy, and I was just the right fit. Though I did work hard. 12 years ago, I worked at the main office and was transferred to a newly established regional branch. The accounting department consisted entirely of part-time employees, making me effectively the head of accounting there. I lamented what seemed like a clear demotion. During that time, Chris, who was the ace of the sales department back then, encouraged me. Despite often interacting with the sales department over receipts, our company's sales department was the star, while accounting was a dull and unremarkable department. There was a tendency to look down on us, making interactions with sales uncomfortable. But Chris was different. He treated me kindly and often took me out for drinks, not charging it to the company, but splitting the bill. He laughed at my seriousness, but it seemed that was one of the things he liked about me. Chris encouraged me, saying, "It's not a demotion. It's a chance. Prove yourself there and come back to the main office with a managerial position." Even though I wondered how an accountant in a regional branch could achieve that, he continued, "You were never afraid to tell us, this isn't an expense. This restaurant won't work. That's wasteful. Thanks to you, we couldn't spend as freely as before, and our expenses went down. Didn't that contribute to the company's profit?" His words made me realize that even in accounting, I could contribute to the company's profits. It wasn't a dull job. That's what the ace of the sales department taught me. I continued working at the regional branch, obtaining my tax account certification. With a better understanding of taxes, I could help with tax savings and improve accounting efficiency. We no longer needed the outsourced tax accountant, making it highly cost-effective for the company. Those achievements, combined with the company's policy of promoting younger employees, allowed me to return to the main office as the accounting department manager. Of course, in this company, where sales is the star department, accounting is female-dominated with high turnover, which is why there was an open position for me. While I believe my skills still need improvement, a manager is still a manager. Chris welcomed me with a smile, glancing at a particular desk and frowning slightly. Be happy about becoming a manager, but keep a close eye on your subordinates. Otherwise, you might crush young talent. His ominous words made me sit up straight. Is something wrong? When I asked, Chris led me to the conference room. It seemed like a topic he didn't want to discuss openly. Once inside, he told me about a young woman assigned to the sales department due to her excellent training results and beauty, but who had recently been struggling with her health. Whenever someone asked if she was okay, she insisted she was fine, but she always seemed distressed. During sales calls, she refused any offer of accompaniment, and she had been taking more sick days, leaving everyone unsure how to help. Is she off today too? I asked. Chris nodded grimly. Then how about I accompany her? Chris looked surprised at my suggestion. If I say it's because I'm a newbie and want to learn, she won't be able to refuse, right? Maybe she thinks she can't rely on her superiors. Chris let out a slight groan, saying, there might be something to that, while putting his hand to his chin and thinking. I might be able to figure something out by accompanying her, and even if I don't, maybe she'll open up to a newbie during casual conversation. I wanted to help Chris, but he gave a rueful smile. What about your own department? I realized he had a point. Right, I'll get permission from Mr. Owen, maybe for a few hours. When I bowed, Chris returned the gesture respectfully. I'll also talk to Mr. Owen. Please do this for me. With that, I bowed deeply again. When I finished my story, Emily's eyes widened. So, you're actually the accounting department manager? Yes. Sorry for deceiving you. Today is actually my first time observing a sales job. I apologized again. Emily shook her head. No, I'm sorry for causing trouble to Chris and even to you, Henry. Her words made me sigh. There's no way it's a bother. When a valuable subordinate is in trouble, it's more painful if you don't ask for help. But your health issues aren't just a cold, right? Emily hesitated but then nodded slightly. I'm receiving medication from a psychiatrist, but sometimes I just can't get up in the morning. She explained that it always happened on days when she had to visit a company where Alex was present. Once I fall ill, it's hard to recover. I'm sorry. It's nothing serious. I just need to be stronger. Her words made me furrow my brows. Why do you think that way? Emily's eyebrows drew together. I've always been told that with a face like mine, I shouldn't take teasing so seriously, she said. They said it's because I take things too seriously that things go wrong. She seemed to have struggled with her appearance since childhood. Especially someone like me, she continued. They said I shouldn't rely on my superiors. Now that I'm an adult, I should solve things on my own. Her words pained me deeply. Your appearance has nothing to do with it. It's the manager's job to take responsibility and solve problems. When something happens, please talk to us. Emily's voice trembled with tears. What should I say? If I take such casual remarks seriously and complain, they'll just call me paranoid. Suggesting business dinners or asking for my personal contact information could just be their way of wanting to build a smoother business relationship. It was painful to watch her struggle. You've been told that in the past, haven't you? Tears finally spilled from Emily's eyes, large and glistening. If I just endure it, everything will be fine. My performance isn't bad. I'm contributing to the company. I just need to be stronger. I sighed softly. I'll report this to Chris along with my observations. I actually recorded a bit of our conversation. Emily turned pale at my words. Don't worry, I won't make a big deal out of it. From my perspective, it was harassment, and it's understandable that you're struggling, but Chris might see it differently. I just want to confirm. Emily seemed to wrestle with her emotions silently for a while, but eventually nodded slightly in resignation. 2 weeks later, I asked, Emily, had you finished the check? Emily looked at me with a bright smile. Yes, there were no mistakes. Seeing her lively expression, I couldn't help but smile back. That day, when I returned to the office and reported to Chris, he was furious. But then he immediately turned his anger inward. I should have been more attentive. She's so beautiful. It's not surprising things like this happen. I assumed she had no worries because she was so talented and chosen for the top sales role. That was my mistake. He blamed himself for not noticing his subordinate's distress, one of the reasons why I admired Chris. I suggested to him that Emily be transferred to the accounting department. Chris thought long and hard, pondering for a week. Surprisingly, Emily was one of the top 3 performers in the elite sales department until recently. Reluctant to let her go, he thought it over thoroughly. However, her performance had declined due to her health issues, and most importantly, her initial preference was the accounting department. After much deliberation, Chris recommended her transfer to Mr. Owen. In her place, a young man from the accounting department who admired the sales department was eagerly transferred and is currently being trained hard, though he seems to be enjoying it. Alex expressed disappointment at Emily's transfer, but Chris took over her client duties for a while. Chris laughed, saying Alex was terrified of dealing with the former superis. One day, as I left the office on time, I heard quick footsteps approaching from behind. Turning around, I saw Emily, slightly out of breath. Do you have some time after this? Having gotten through the busy end and start of the month, today marked the beginning of being able to leave work on time. Is there something bothering you? I asked. Emily smiled. Can we discuss it at the restaurant? I straightened my posture slightly and nodded. Emily chose the restaurant. It was a stylish Western-style restaurant with private rooms, offering a variety of dishes from trendy agillo to my favorite fried chicken and salted squid. We ordered fried chicken, beer, and agillo, which I tried for the first time, and toasted. As I drank the beer, Emily watched me intently. Feeling a bit startled by her gaze, I put down my mug. Then Emily dropped a bombshell. I'll get straight to the point. I like you, Henry. I choked on my beer and started coughing. Are you okay? I was not okay. There was no way a beautiful woman a decade younger than me could like me. Don't joke around, I said, still coughing. But she shook her head. I'm not joking. I know you don't have a girlfriend or a wife, right? I raised my hand to stop her. Please, stop teasing this old man. I don't have much immunity to it, especially since I was just dumped. In reality, while at the regional branch, I grew close to a part-time employee. However, when my transfer to the main office was confirmed, she decisively ended things. She wasn't willing to leave her hometown. You had a girlfriend. That's a bit shocking. But that means now is my chance, right? Her sudden assertiveness was surprising, so I glanced at her beer mug. It was still nearly full. I'm not drunk. I'm serious. Chris told me, you better hurry. There are many women eyeing him. So I had to make my move. I was astonished to learn that Chris had been encouraging her. Chris knows too. When I confirmed, she nodded with a smile. Yes, he told me to ask him to be our matchmaker. I held my head in my hands. Is it not possible? This isn't a joke or impulsiveness. Among all the men I've met, you're the one I trust the most. No one makes me feel as safe as you do. You were the first to look past my appearance and acknowledge my struggles. I had tried hard not to stare, but was that enough to be the one she wanted? With her tearful eyes pleading with me, I couldn't bring myself to refuse. I gulped down my beer in one go. After being dumped, I thought I was done with marriage, but you never know where fate will lead you. Honestly, I'm still healing, and I never considered you a romantic option due to our age gap. But maybe we could take things slow, trying to show some adult composure and not appear desperate, I replied. But she tapped the table impatiently. I want to get married soon. I can't wait. Trying to maintain my composure was one of the hardest things I had ever done in my life. Several years later, it hurts, but I'll do my best. It hurts. Holding Emily's hand as she endured the pain, I encouraged her with all my might. You can do it. I can't do much but cheer you on, so keep going. I handed her some water, feeling frustrated at my inability to help more. Since that day, we nurtured our love and got married. Now, at my age, I was about to become a father. Chris, who indeed served as our matchmaker, had asked for a photo of the baby as soon as it was born. Today, he has the day off from work. I wonder if he is eagerly waiting for it. As Emily bore down, Dr. Smith instructed her to relax, and soon, our tiny baby let out a vigorous cry in the doctor's hands. Tears naturally welled up in my eyes. Thank you, Emily. Thank you so much. Expressing my gratitude, Emily smiled tiredly. I'm happy to be having your baby. I'm sorry it was so hard. Indeed, she had gripped my hand tightly and clung to me, saying she wanted to give up, but it wasn't hard at all. Whatever she did to me, it wasn't hard compared to what she went through. When I honestly shared my feelings, Emily grinned. I want at least 2 more kids, so we'll have to go through this 2 more times. I nodded with a smile. While Emily received postpartum care, I was ushered out of the delivery room and sent a photo to Chris. He responded immediately. He had indeed been waiting anxiously. His congratulatory message brought tears to my eyes. I'm surrounded by wonderful people. Emily, our newborn baby, and the children we will have. I want to protect them all. In order to do that, I need to stay healthy and live a long life, I murmured with a smile as I stood in the hospital hallway. Only staff are invited to the meeting. Someone as incompetent as you should never be let entry. Now leave this place. I understand. There was nothing I could do when she told me that. I came from the Japan branch and was merely an outsider. I was supposed to attend the meeting that was about to begin, but it was difficult to defend staying under that type of pressure. She would only continue to make scathing remarks if I made an effort to stay. Well then, please excuse me. He's coming from France, so of course he's French. Jessica, the manager, said with a smile when Mr. Smith, the branch manager, later entered the meeting room. He can't possibly be a typical Japanese man. Mr. Smith shook at it, as though to ask, What in the world are you talking about? What are you saying exactly? That was a very good deduction, isn't it? I came to the conclusion that he couldn't be the president from headquarters at that point. Jessica was clearly taken aback when Mr. Smith told her the truth. It became evident at that point that she had committed a grave and irreparable error. I'm 52 years old, and my name is Thomas Nelson. Typically, I work for Road, a French auto manufacturer. This business creates, produces, and markets automobiles. I am president of Road, which has its headquarters in France. Why am I the president of a French company while I'm a Japanese man? There's a backstory to that, though. It all began with a loan assignment to the French headquarters 12 years ago, but I never planned to reach the top. I was chosen because I could speak French and English, and someone from the Japan branch needed to be sent to France. Since I had a family, I must admit that I wanted to decline, but no one else was available to fill the role. I therefore made the grudging decision to discuss it with my family. They're asking me to transfer to France. When I first told my wife, Olivia, about the incident, she was understandably taken aback. However, caring for Elliot alone would be extremely difficult for you. I'm considering declining it. We only have one son, Elliot. At just 10 years old, he still required his parents' undivided care. I take it you're being sent to RH headquarters. You may not have another chance like this. She was correct. It was a unique and esteemed opportunity to be transferred to the French headquarters. Although I could sense Olivia's sincere love and encouragement, it worried me to think of her raising our developing child alone. I found it difficult to really enjoy my job transition because of that. Sure, career advancement is important, but leaving you two behind to work overseas doesn't sit right with me. Avoid saying that. I know Elliot will stand by you, and I'm proud of you. We'll be okay as long as you communicate with us on a regular basis. Therefore, why not try it? I wanted to push myself, of course, if that's truly how you feel. I did want to try it if she was willing to help me. I wanted to explore if my acquired skills would really hold up overseas in France. The worry persisted, though. Would it really be all right? But despite everything, Olivia maintained her optimism. Then, while you're away, let's find a way to reduce the workload around the house. In this manner, you'll be free to concentrate on your job in France, right? Thank you, Olivia. From then on, we spent day after day discussing how to ease the burden of household chores and childcare while I was away. We talked about how to manage meals, Elliot's school drop-offs and pickups, and all the other responsibilities around the house. We also talked about who Olivia could turn to if she were to fall ill. Eventually, we concluded that with careful planning, Olivia could manage to take care of Elliot on her own. Looks like this won't be a problem. After everything you've done, I've got no excuse. I need to give it my all over there. And so, I gave my answer to Mr. Smith of the Japan office. It was decided that I would be transferred to the headquarters in France. There had been the option of moving to France together with Olivia and Elliot, but honestly, that would have placed too much of a burden on them. While I spoke French, they didn't, and we couldn't just pull Elliot out of elementary school and take him to a foreign country. So, in the end, I went alone on a solo assignment to France. From that day on, I worked at RA's headquarters in France. I made sure to stay in regular contact with Olivia and Elliot. Initially, I was just supposed to work as a regular employee, having transferred from the Japan branch, but I was only able to thrive at the French headquarters thanks to the two of them, who supported me from the start. That thought kept me motivated and pushed me to keep striving. And so, about 8 years passed. After continuously producing results at the French headquarters, I was finally promoted to president of the company. It's extremely rare for a Japanese person to become president of a French company. That's amazing. Thank you. It's all thanks to you and Elliot for always cheering me on. Olivia was genuinely happy when she heard about the promotion. Despite the challenges of raising Elliot on her own, she celebrated the news with an open heart. I truly felt lucky to have such a wonderful wife. I don't just speak French. I also speak English and Japanese. That makes communicating with overseas branches easy, and I've had solid results too, actually among the top. That's why they chose me. Plus, I bought up 30% of the company's stock, so I practically hold most of the decision-making power. So you're not just the president, you're also one of Rhodes' major shareholders. That's incredible, having that much authority. Olivia smiled warmly on the video call. Elliot's doing great too. He's already got a job offer. Sounds like he'll be working at the headquarters of a major company. Really? That's great to hear. He's really come a long way. Olivia had been updating me on Elliot's school progress and job hunting all along, so I already had some idea. But hearing it again made me genuinely proud. He said he wants to grow up to be someone like you. That's why he's been working so hard in both school and job hunting. You've been a great role model for him. I'm not sure I've been a good father, leaving for France while he was still in grade school. Don't be modest. You kept in touch with us regularly, and honestly, he's always looked up to you. Really? Yes. Now that he's actually started working, he says he truly understands how amazing you are. Is that so? That made me happy, but also a little embarrassed. To know that Elliot had watched me from afar and grown up to become someone capable of contributing to a company as a working adult himself. That made me feel like maybe, just maybe, I had done something right as a father. After that, Olivia and I continued chatting about how things were going before ending the call. One day, I found myself returning to Japan. It was because I needed to attend a meeting at the Japan branch. Of course, I could have joined the meeting by video call, but Robert Smith had personally asked me to come and see the company in person and attend the meeting on-site. I had originally worked at the Japan branch and already knew Robert Smith, so maybe he simply wanted me to see how things had changed. And so, I came back to Japan. I took a few days off around the trip as well, which gave me some time to relax and enjoy myself back home. Welcome back, Dad. Hey, Elliot. It's been a while. Yeah, same to you, Dad. I've been doing well. I decided to spend some quiet, quality time with my family. I made a suggestion to Elliot. I've taken some time off, so I'm free all day. How about going fishing if you're up for it? Really? Fishing is one of my hobbies. Back when we lived in Japan, we used to go fishing as a family quite often. It's the kind of activity that lets you relax in peace. If you go alone, you get time to think. If you go with family, it becomes a moment of bonding. It's the perfect way to unwind from the stress of work. So I brought Olivia and Elliot with me to the sea for a fishing trip. After setting up our gear, I cast a lure into the open water. Wonder what we catch this time of year. Maybe sea bass or something like that. If we catch something, let's make it dinner tonight. Yeah, that'd be great. Hope we catch enough for all of us. I gazed quietly at the ocean, chatting with Elliot while waiting for a bite. As we listened to the gentle sound of waves rolling in, Elliot spoke up. I've got a friend who's really into fishing too. Is that so? I figured most young people these days were into video games, but it turns out there are still some who are really into fishing. Hearing that Elliot had a friend like that made me feel a sense of closeness. Yeah, so we go fishing together pretty often. Now that I'm working, I can finally buy my own gear too. Good point. Fishing's a bit of a pricey hobby for a student, but now that you're earning your own money, I figure it's okay to buy what you like, right? Of course, that's one of the perks of being a working adult, buying what you want with your own paycheck. At least, that's how it felt when I first started working after college. If fishing has become a bridge between him and his friends, then I couldn't be happier. All those fishing trips we took as a family weren't in vain after all. It made me feel like maybe I'd done something right as a father. The day after enjoying some long overdue family time by the sea, I headed to RADS Japan branch. That was the main reason I had returned to Japan after so long. While managing the French headquarters, I also received reports on our branches in the US and China. Sometimes, I issued directives on development or business strategy. Usually, I didn't need to travel overseas for that, but this time was an exception. It had been over 10 years since I last visited the Japan branch. Just seeing the building brought back a wave of nostalgia. The Japan branch seemed to be doing well from the outside, but I wondered how things really were inside. As I walked into the building, a young male employee was waiting at the entrance. Nice to meet you. My name is Theodore. Are you the president, Mr. Nelson? Theodore, is it? Nice to meet you. I'm Thomas Nelson. Looking forward to working with you. Theodore looked extremely young. I wouldn't have been surprised if he had said he just joined the company this year. I wasn't trying to be critical, but it did seem odd assigning such a young employee to guide the president from headquarters. If I knew Mr. Smith, he would usually handle something like this himself, rather than leave it to someone so junior. I started to grow suspicious. Apparently, Theodore noticed what I was thinking. Sorry. I know it's a bit strange for a newbie like me to be the one showing Mr. Nelson from headquarters around. It seemed even he felt a bit insecure about it. That made it all the more puzzling. I don't mind you showing me around, but did something happen? Is Mr. Smith busy? Theodore hesitated, clearly unsure of how to respond. If something's bothering you, you can speak freely. Improving your working conditions is part of my job too. At that, Theodore averted his gaze and fell silent. After a moment of hesitation, he finally spoke up. My supervisor is... What about your supervisor? Yes, originally, my manager Jessica was supposed to show you around, Mr. Nelson. But she said she was too busy and suddenly handed the task off to me. I honestly thought it was a bit inappropriate for someone like me to be greeting the company president. Theodore scratched his head and gave a strained smile. It was clear the decision hadn't been his. Wanting to understand the situation better, I listened closely as he continued. Jessica graduated from the University of Tokyo, so no one in the department really feels comfortable standing up to her. Still, passing off the responsibility of welcoming the president from headquarters to a junior staff member just because she was busy, that didn't seem right. And coming from someone who graduated from Japan's top university, it was a curious decision. Maybe she really was overwhelmed, but something about this smelled off. Depending on how things unfold, I might need to get involved. If not, we could lose talented young employees because of poor leadership. I see. I'll speak to Thomas Smith about this. Thank you. I'm sorry to trouble you with something like this. Don't worry about it. I have a son about your age, so when I see young people like you struggling, I can't just ignore it. You do. Theodore's eyes widened in surprise. As we walked, we continued chatting. I joined the company this year as a new graduate. Is that so? How's the job treating you so far? Sometimes I miss my student days, but it's still rewarding when I feel like I'm helping someone through my work. I see. I nodded. And I enjoy working with others. In school, you mostly study on your own, but in the workplace, there are many things you can't do alone. Exactly. That's what I find interesting about it. We talked about his impressions since joining the company, the challenges and the joys of the job. Eventually, I learned that Theodore also enjoyed fishing. You're into fishing too? Yes, I actually go out to rivers or the ocean pretty often on weekends. Are you into fishing as well, Mr. Nelson? Yeah, I am. What a coincidence. I didn't expect to meet a fellow angler here at the Japan branch. I'm really glad to hear we share the same hobby, Mr. Nelson. After that, we headed toward the meeting room. This is the meeting room. The meeting should be starting shortly. Thanks. Smith told me to wait here. So you'll be participating in the meeting too, Mr. Nelson. That's really reassuring. This upcoming meeting was about the future business strategy of the Japan branch. The branch was doing well, not declining in any way. So in order to maintain that momentum, I'd be sitting in to join the discussion. Thanks. This is far enough. Understood. I really enjoyed talking with you, Mr. Nelson. With that, Theodore turned to leave, but just then, something unexpected happened. What's with this old geezer? The voice came from a woman who looked to be in her 40s. I noticed Theodore frown the moment he saw her. She was most likely Jessica, the one who had dumped the responsibility of guiding me onto him. Theodore tried desperately to explain who I was. This is the president from headquarters. Jessica's temple twitched as a vein bulged in frustration. I told you to bring the president from headquarters, but what? Who told you to bring some washed-up old man who's about to retire? She snapped, her tone hysterical, and her words pouring out like machine gun fire. Theodore instinctively shrank back from her intensity. Listen, our headquarters is in France. Obviously, the president would be French. But still, how could anyone in their right mind think this old guy is the president of our headquarters? Hearing such blatant prejudice and assumptions, I couldn't help but chuckle quietly. True, the idea of a Japanese man running a French company and holding 30% of its shares might be hard to imagine. Still, wasn't she letting her bias run a little too wild? He actually arrived right on time for the scheduled meeting. Theodore tried again to explain that I was indeed the president, but Jessica's relentless barrage made it hard for him to speak up. And really, not many could push back when confronted so forcefully by a superior. Jessica let out a mocking snort. Hemph. I don't know why this geezer is even here, or how he weaseled his way into the meeting room. But too bad, you worthless fraud. Maybe you thought you could just sit in on the meeting and no one would notice, but that's not happening. I was actually scheduled to take part in the meeting and cast my vote. Mr. Smith had personally asked for my input, but clearly that message hadn't reached her. This meeting is for employees only. We don't let bottom feeders just wander in. Get out now. I see. With her saying that, there was nothing I could do. As an outsider, I had no standing. I was supposed to take part in the meeting that was about to begin, but with this kind of hostility, staying any longer would be difficult. If I insisted on remaining, she'd only keep firing one verbal bullet after another. Well then, please excuse me. With a hesitant glance at the distressed Theodore, I quietly left the meeting room. Jessica, having kicked me out, looked positively gleeful, as if she were about to break into a victory tune. Honestly, what were you thinking, bringing some old man here and calling him the president of headquarters? You're just as useless as he is. She scoffed. People without a proper education are all the same. They can't even grasp what's obvious these days. If you want to climb the ladder, you have to graduate from a top university. Jessica went on smugly, speaking as if she were the authority on everything. Unloading her stress from the mountain of work, she seemed noticeably relieved. Once she was satisfied, she finally stopped talking and began fussing with her nails. Moments later, the time for the meeting arrived, and Mr. Smith entered the room. Mr. Smith looked around the meeting room. After scanning the attendees, a puzzled expression crossed his face. Isn't the president here yet? Doesn't seem like it. Jessica replied with a nod. The meeting was supposed to start by now. Did something happen? Should I try contacting him? Jessica, in contrast, acted perfectly polite and respectful when dealing with someone above her. A textbook example of a toxic manager. The employees who had witnessed the earlier commotion exchanged uneasy glances. Seeing that no one else was speaking up, Theodore, who had stayed in the room for just this reason, finally stepped forward. He knew he had to explain the situation to Mr. Smith. Earlier? Jessica. Jessica what? I just threw out some useless guy who tried to sneak in pretending to be the president. Jessica chimed in cheerfully, still in a good mood. But Theodore, hesitant though he was, pushed back. Jessica may say that, but I think that man may have actually been the president from headquarters. What? Jessica burst into a snide laugh. That's ridiculous. What are you talking about? He came from France, so of course, he must be French. There's no way he was some ordinary Japanese guy. Just then, Mr. Smith began trembling, his expression one of disbelief. What exactly are you saying? Impressive deduction, right? That's how I figured out he wasn't the president. The president of our French headquarters, who owns 30% of the company, is Mr. Nelson, and he's Japanese. What? Upon hearing the truth from branch manager Smith, Jessica turned pale. The revelation that the French headquarters president was Japanese carried two major implications. First, Jessica's assumption had been completely wrong. Second, the man she had just insulted and kicked out was, in fact, the president of headquarters. Jessica had clearly never read the materials she was given and didn't realize the president was Japanese. In other words, she had made a mistake she could never take back. So, where's Mr. Nelson now? Jessica kicked him out after insulting him, Theodora muttered. That hit a nerve. Jessica immediately flew into a panic. Wait, what do we do now? That old guy already left. Well, this was your fault, wasn't it? Why didn't you say something? Because you were going off so intensely, I couldn't even get a word in. Jessica turned on Theodore, clearly trying to shift the blame. But Theodore had tried to stop her. There was no way he was going to accept being scapegoated. Suddenly, Jessica realized Mr. Smith was glaring in her direction. Caught in his accusing stare, her eyes darted around nervously. Well, this is. What are you going to do about this, Jessica? I just. Moments ago, Smith had been pale with shock, but now his face was red with rage. We invited Mr. Nelson here officially, and you not only insulted him, calling him incompetent, but also drove him out. What were you thinking? But he looked like some old Japanese guy who was about to retire. How was I supposed to know he was the president? Clearly shaken by her own blunder, Jessica was now floundering. Mr. Nelson had come to Japan at the direct invitation of the Japan branch. Even she now realized just how serious a mistake she had made. What should we do? That's enough. Step aside. We'll continue the meeting with the other employees and offer Mr. Nelson a proper apology. I'll go apologize too. Do you even understand what you've done? An apology alone won't fix this. Your disciplinary action will be decided later. For now, stay out of it. It was rare to see Mr. Smith this furious, but Theodore understood now what Jessica had done, intoxicated by her own self-importance, was serious. With those final words, Mr. Smith left the meeting room. Please accept my deepest apologies. I can't believe Jessica, one of our own, would throw you out like that. Later, Mr. Smith reached out to me. He offered a formal apology for Jessica's earlier misconduct. But I wasn't angry about the incident at all. In fact, I found it to be a fortunate turn of events. Because of this situation, I'd now be in a position to help resolve some of the concerns Theodore had shared with me. In large organizations, the bigger they grow, the harder they are to move. That's why, ironically, events like this sometimes make it easier to initiate change. Please don't worry about it. I'm just glad you reached out to me. Mr. Smith went on to explain the background. She graduated from the University of Tokyo and has one of the strongest academic credentials in our company, but I had no idea she treated people that way. She always behaved respectfully toward me, so I didn't notice. I'm truly sorry. He let out a deep sigh. To him, it probably felt like a betrayal. Jessica joined us as a mid-career hire 10 years ago, so she likely didn't know about you. That makes sense. No wonder I didn't recognize her. Anyone who's been with the Japan branch since the early days knows of your achievements. Just being able to work at the French headquarters is impressive. But to become the president, we always looked forward to hearing about your success stories here. Mr. Smith spoke with a nostalgic tone. After you became president and acquired a major stake in the company, conditions at the Japan branch improved dramatically. We've always been grateful to you for that. But then his tone shifted. And yet, even after we invited you here ourselves, we ended up turning you away. That's unforgivable. And again, I'm deeply sorry. Really, it's quite all right. No. It's thanks to you that this company is what it is today, and we haven't forgotten that. After that, I took part in the Japan branch's meeting as planned. There, we discussed the future direction of the branch's operations. Thanks to Mr. Smith, the Japan branch was thriving. The meeting progressed smoothly, with in-depth discussions and meaningful contributions all around. It had been 12 years since I left, but hearing the way the team talked, I realized just how far the Japan branch had come. The employees said that having me treat them equally with the other overseas branches made their work environment easier and more motivating. Still, no matter how good the environment is, if the employees themselves lack motivation, a company can't grow. That's why I believe the real reason Rhodes Japan branch was thriving was because of its passionate employees and Mr. Smith's outstanding leadership. Despite everything that happened, I felt content. The meeting had been productive, and meeting a promising young talent like Theodore was a refreshing experience. With those thoughts in mind, I walked through the Japan branch, taking in the sights. When she appeared, "Mr. Nelson." The voice rang out without a hint of restraint. It was Jessica. Caught off guard by her sudden appearance, I widened my eyes. Smith had clearly told her not to approach me again, but apparently she hadn't given up. Her persistence was surprising, to say the least. Maybe she was desperate to avoid being formally disciplined. Jessica, what is it now?" "What is it?" "That's what I want to ask," she shouted hysterically, launching into a flurry of words. Tell them my punishment is unfair." Apparently, rather than reflecting on her actions, Jessica had been looking for a way to avoid the consequences from Mr. Smith. I let out a dry chuckle without meaning to. She probably thought that if she got the president of headquarters, me, to speak on her behalf, she might be able to get out of it. But hearing such a shallow line of thinking was just exhausting. Had she already forgotten why Mr. Smith reprimanded her in the first place? Why on earth would I do that? Because I'm an elite, a graduate of the University of Toyo. It's ridiculous that someone like me should be punished because of some weirdo like you. Sure, I'm a bit of an outlier. A Japanese man serving as president of a French headquarters, and on top of that, owning 30% of the company's stock. I'm fully aware of how unusual that is, but who would actually say it to my face? She was supposed to be asking for my forgiveness, and yet there was no sign of remorse from her at all. At this rate, there was no way I could forgive her. "Do you really believe that?" "Of course I do. Elites don't get punished. Everything I do at this company is the right decision." Jessica was clinging to her pride as a University of Tokyo graduate and department head. Maybe that's why she couldn't accept being disciplined over what she viewed as a misunderstanding. But sometimes, admitting a mistake honestly is the key to moving forward. And in this case, it was the perfect example. Had she just followed Smith's instructions and focused on her work, she might have gotten away with a light penalty. Jessica startled. Jessica flinched at the voice. It was Mr. Smith. She clearly hadn't expected him to catch her here. Sweat began to drip from her brow. With a furious look, Mr. Smith strode over. "What on earth is going on?" "I already gave you clear instructions." She had been explicitly told not to approach me again. Now, trying to pull strings behind his back could lead to even harsher punishment. But clearly she still hadn't accepted it. On the brink of desperation, she began to argue. But this is crazy. There's no way that old man is actually the president of the French headquarters and owns 30% of the company. That's just not possible. We're being fooled. I understand it's hard to believe, but I'm the president of the French headquarters. Jessica might have taken it lightly, but the path to becoming president in France wasn't easy. Going on assignment alone, I had to pour everything into my work. Without Olivia and Elliot's support, and without the encouragement from people like Mr. Smith, I never would have made it. Thanks to all of them, I became who I am today. So to be mocked like this, to have my journey dismissed as impossible, I couldn't just let it slide. By the way, I hold 30% of the company's shares. You understand what that means? Oh, well, it means I have significant decision-making power and authority over personnel matters. As a Tokyo University graduate, surely you understand how stock ownership works. Which means, if I wanted, I could conduct a full investigation into your conduct and dismiss you from the company. Jessica began to tremble as the weight of that realization sank in. It seemed she finally understood what it meant to defy me. Mr. Nelson. What is it? Bye. I want to apologize for everything I've said. I'm truly sorry. So would you consider showing a little leniency? Watching her suddenly switch to such a submissive tone, I couldn't help but let out a wry smile. Just a moment ago, she was calling me an old geezer and hurling insults. What a dramatic change in attitude. I could have let it go right there. But after all the ways she had mocked and belittled me, How could I possibly find it in myself to forgive someone like that? You really think that's going to make things okay? Do I need to spell it out for you? I've had enough of you. Up until now, I'd kept a calm demeanor. But when I said that clearly and firmly, it must have shocked her. She realized then that she had done something truly irreversible, and she began to tremble. I'm sorry, but nothing you say is going to change my mind. Just give it up. No way. Realizing there was no escaping the consequences, Jessica crumpled to the floor in defeat. Smith, standing nearby, gave a firm nod of agreement. Later, an internal investigation at the Japan branch revealed that Jessica had been harassing several employees in her department. Forcing Theodore to take over as my guide had just been one example. Because of this string of inappropriate behavior as a manager, Jessica was formally dismissed. She later threw herself into job hunting, desperate to find a new position. But her arrogant attitude made employers hesitant to hire her. In the end, she wound up working part-time at a nearby convenience store. Welcome. Employees at the Japan branch reportedly see her there from time to time, bowing deeply and serving customers with forced enthusiasm. Afterward, I spent some time mingling casually with the Japan branch employees. Those who had been with the company for over 12 years still remembered me well. We reminisced about the old days, caught up on each other's lives, and had some good laughs. I also had another conversation with Theodore, and there I learned something truly surprising. You were friends with Elliot. It turned out that Theodore and Elliot were classmates. I had noticed they were similar in age and shared hobbies, but I never imagined they were actually connected. Yes, even now that we're working, we still go fishing together. I had no idea you were his father. I see. That's a wonderful connection. I couldn't help but smile. Later that day, I talked to Elliot about it. When he heard that I had met Theodore, he smiled brightly. Apparently, he already knew Theodore worked at Rhodes' Japan branch. Oh, right, Dad. You're still in Japan for a few more days, right? I am. Why? Let's invite Theodore and all go fishing together. So we all coordinated our schedules and picked a day off to go fishing together. Olivia came along too. She didn't care much for fishing itself. It seemed she just enjoyed watching the rest of us do it. I was the one driving. I wanted to make this a special day for the family, so I eagerly took the wheel. And with everyone packed into the car, we headed out to the sea. The salty breeze of Japan, after so long, felt wonderfully refreshing. Think we'll catch anything, Dad? We won't know until we try. If we catch a lot, dinner is going to be amazing. Thanks for inviting me. Really. Don't mention it. This is fate, in a way. When I said that with a smile, Theodore looked visibly relieved. We spent a quiet, peaceful time fishing together. At first, Theodore seemed a little stiff, but little by little, he opened up. Olivia watched us with a warm smile as we focused on catching fish, clearly enjoying the sight. Spending time with family and friends like this, it really is one of life's greatest joys. Once this fishing trip ends, I'll return to France and resume my responsibilities as president. But that's exactly why these moments with loved ones are so precious. With these memories in my heart, I knew I had to keep giving my all as the president of Rhodes.